The slow road to fortune, a janitor's secret. He wore flannel shirts that looked older than most of his neighbours, drove a second-hand car with faded paint and a cassette deck that still worked. Ronald Redd moved through life like a whisper, quiet, steady, invisible to those who equated wealth with noise. Every morning he showed up early, broom in hand, to sweep the floors of the local gas station. He'd nod politely, fix a bent fence post, tighten a loose bolt, stock the shelves with quiet focus. No rush, no complaints, just rhythm. His hands were worn, thick-skinned and cracked around the knuckles, hands that had split wood in the Vermont cold, that had turned wrenches, folded receipts, lifted bags heavier than they looked. There was no gold watch, no designer shoes, no credit cards flashing at checkout. He filled his thermos with plain black coffee, ate sandwiches wrapped in wax paper, spoke in soft tones and listened more than he talked. To the outside world, Ronald was the man who opened doors for others and held them open too long. But what no one saw was the quiet calculation behind those eyes. The mental ledger is constantly updating, pennies tracked, dollars respected. Not obsessed, not greedy, just precise. When others chased promotions, he chose patience. While neighbours upgraded kitchens they couldn't afford, he was reading annual reports in his recliner. He didn't buy into the illusion of looking rich, because he was building something no one could see. Over the years, he collected dividend checks, like someone might collect postcards, small, consistent proofs of places he'd never been but believed in. Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, JP Morgan. Not as status symbols, but as silent allies in his mission. He never talked about wealth. He lived like he couldn't afford extravagance. But when he died at 92, the world found out what he had quietly built behind that modest smile. An $8 million fortune, hidden in plain sight. Not from luck, not from inheritance, but from a philosophy that very few ever understand. That wealth doesn't always look like wealth, that the richest people often don't look the part, and that patience, discipline and obscurity might be the real markers of financial genius. Ronald Reed didn't move fast. He moved right, one frugal day at a time. The world never saw it coming, because it never bothered to look past the broom in his hand. The temptation of fast money, society's biggest trap. It starts with a headline. Teen makes $500,000 trading crypto in 6 months. A YouTube ad flashes, I turned $1,000 into $100,000. Here's how. A friend at work brags about flipping a stock before lunch and pocketing a quick 10 grand. And just like that, something stirs in your chest. A whisper. You're missing out. It doesn't matter how logical you are, how many books you've read about long-term investing. That whisper cuts through all of it. Fast money doesn't just tempt your wallet, it hijacks your emotions. It taps into the fear of being left behind. It weaponizes envy. And worse, it convinces you that discipline is for fools and that luck is a skill you just haven't mastered yet. The stock market becomes a slot machine. Real estate becomes a casino. Crypto becomes a religion. You don't even realize when the goal shifts. It's no longer about building wealth. It's about beating someone else to it. It's about proving you're not average. But here's what no one tells you. The chase for fast money burns through your time, your energy, and your clarity. It leaves you exhausted, ashamed, and quietly addicted to hope, masked as strategy. Morgan Housel put it bluntly, wealth is what you don't see. It's a nice car not bought. The diamonds were not purchased. The vacation was not taken. It's invisible. And that's what makes it so hard to learn by example. But the world doesn't reward invisible choices. It rewards flashy results, viral wins and loud success stories. And that's why fast money will always be seductive, because it promises visibility now. But the people who get rich slowly aren't selling courses. They're not chasing trends or tweeting their wins. They're reading annual reports, saving quietly, and buying boredom. And the saddest part? Most people don't fall for fast money because they're greedy. They fall for it because they're tired of working hard and seeing so little progress. Tired of watching others leapfrog them with shortcuts that look like magic. But fast money isn't magic, it's bait. And the moment you bite, you're no longer playing your game. You're in their trap. And in that trap, time stops working for you and starts working against you. Shattered dreams, the high cost of chasing returns. He wanted more for his family, more than his parents ever had. So when the tech stock boom hit, Marcus saw his chance. He pulled out $80,000 from his home equity, poured it into a startup that promised to revolutionize e-commerce logistics. They had a glossy website, an aggressive roadmap, and a charismatic founder who guaranteed 10x returns. 3 months later, the website vanished. The office address was a UPS drop box. The money was gone. Marcus sat in the dark, staring at the blinking cursor of his online banking app, his son's college fund, his emergency savings, the down payment they had been working toward for a second home near his aging mother. All erased in the name of speed. The shame? That lingered far longer than the debt. Every family dinner became a silent negotiation. Every conversation with his wife carried that unspoken ache. You trusted me. Then there's Anita. She was disciplined. At first, saved steadily for over a decade, building a modest portfolio. But in 2020, she followed a trading group that promised secret insights into meme stocks. They called themselves financial revolutionaries. She called it a shortcut to early retirement. In 2 weeks, she was up $40,000. In 3 weeks, down $60,000. By the end of the month, she had liquidated her 401k to recover her losses. She didn't tell her husband until the IRS notice came in the mail. The penalty fees, the taxes, the gut punch of knowing she'd traded her future for a dopamine hit. The worst part? She couldn't look at her daughter without hearing the voice in her head. You just set her back 5 years. For what? Morgan Housel said it with brutal simplicity. Getting rich is one thing. Staying rich is another. And they're not the same. Shortcuts don't come cheap. They cost more than money. They cost trust, peace, dignity. They take years and you don't get back. Every failed gamble leaves behind a mess no one else sees. The missed family trips that were never booked. The houses I never bought. The retirements that turned into second jobs at 68. Fast money promises speed, but it almost always delivers wreckage. And those who suffer most aren't the ones who took the risk. It's the spouses who stayed silent, the kids who adjusted to less without understanding why, the future selves who now carry the burden of rebuilding what impatience destroyed. Because chasing returns doesn't just break portfolios, it breaks people. And once broken, some things never quite fit back the same again. The quiet power of consistency, Ronald Read's method. No windfall, no lottery ticket, no viral moment that changed everything overnight. Ronald Read didn't strike gold. He stacked pebbles, one at a time, quietly, consistently, without applause. He fixed cars by day and swept floors by night. And every paycheck, no matter how small, followed the same ritual. A portion sove, a portion invested, a portion left untouched, because he understood what most people never do. That wealth is not about sudden brilliance. It's about repetition. He lived below his means, not because he had to, but because he chose to. Wore the same coat for decades. Ate at diners instead of restaurants. skipped fads, skipped upgrades, skipped the performance of success. While others chased the next big thing, Ronald bought what he understood. Blue chip stocks, dividend payers, boring, predictable businesses with a track record of surviving storms. Coca-Cola, Wells Fargo, Johnson & Johnson. Not because they were flashy, but because they were steady. And steadiness, when multiplied over time, becomes something extraordinary. He reinvested every dividend, let compound interest do its work without interference, didn't panic when markets dipped, didn't sell when others were afraid. He just kept showing up. Morgan Housel captured it perfectly. Savings without a spending goal gives you options, flexibility, and time. The ability to wait is one of the most valuable assets in finance. That was Ronald's edge. He gave himself time for his investments to grow, time for mistakes to be absorbed, time for wealth to compound in silence. By the end, his portfolio was worth over $8 million, not because of genius picks, but because he never interrupted the process. This kind of wealth doesn't make headlines. It doesn't start conversations, but it builds a life that doesn't depend on luck, trends, or approval. It's the kind of wealth that grows while you sleep. That forgives small mistakes because it's been patiently fed for decades. That protects you not just from poverty, but from fear. The world idolizes bold moves and overnight wins. But Ronald proved the most powerful financial decision isn't risky or loud. It's waking up every day and doing the simple, boring thing again and again and again. Not because it's exciting, but because it works. In a world screaming for more, he whispered enough. And in that quiet decision, he found freedom. Realizing the truth, patience is the ultimate investment. The town woke up to a headline that didn't make sense. Local janitor leaves behind $8 million fortune. At first they thought it was a typo, some kind of cruel mistake. Ronald Reed? That Ronald? The man who swept the floors of the gas station on Main Street? Neighbours gathered in hushed disbelief outside his small, weathered home. The shutters are still slightly crooked. The same rake leaned against the porch railing. Nothing about the place whispered millionaire. The man who wore a flannel until the cuffs unravelled. Who drove a rusted 1990 pickup. Who read the newspaper at the library because he didn't want to pay for subscriptions. That man had outsaved them all. The silence was heavier than grief. It was a reflection, regret, and awe. People who once looked past him now stood still, retracing every conversation. The way he always tipped $1, even when buying just a coffee. The way he never judged, never bragged, never complained. He didn't chase admiration. He didn't need to be seen because he was building something far deeper than status. His former co-workers, cashiers, mechanics, clerks, stood in stunned respect, some with tears in their eyes, not because of the money, but because they had misjudged what mattered. They saw it now. The emotional strength it took to delay every impulse, to live modestly in a culture obsessed with showing off. To say no 1,000 times when yes was easier, flashier, louder. Ronald didn't just save money. He resisted the world. He held the line when everything around him said, spend, impress, prove. Morgan Housel once said, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Ronald never played that game. He didn't need recognition to feel secure, didn't need applause to stay the course. In his passing, he taught them something he never spoke aloud, that wealth isn't loud, it's silent, steady, and deeply personal. And as his story spread, people didn't envy his bank account. They admired his discipline, his patience, his unshakable commitment to a path most people dismiss as too slow. In a world addicted to speed, Ronald Reed proved that the slowest investment is often the strongest one. And that real wealth, the kind that lasts, doesn't chase attention. It outlasts it. The crucial choice: immediate gratification or long-term freedom. You're standing at the fork in the road. To your left, flashing lights, bold promises, adrenaline-fueled bets that whisper, "This is your shot." To your right, quiet repetition, patient decisions, a path that looks boring but leads to something real. This isn't just about money. It's about who you're willing to be. Are you the person who chases the thrill of doubling your investment overnight, only to wake up to half of what you had? Or are you the person who chooses the harder path, the one where results come slowly, invisibly, and without applause, but come to stay? The fast road offers ego, excitement, and the illusion of control. You get to talk big at dinner parties, flex online, feel smarter than the rest until the rug gets pulled, and suddenly you're not just broke. You're exhausted, embarrassed, and full of regret. The slow road, it asks for humility. It doesn't promise fireworks, just progress. No highs, no crashes, just small wins that compound in silence. But make no mistake, this road takes courage. It means telling yourself no when your feed screams yes. It means sitting still while others race ahead. It means buying time, not toys, security, not spectacle. Morgan Housel put it simply: wealth is the nice things you don't buy. Let that land. Wealth is what you don't touch, what you let grow, what you protect from your impulses. Every financial decision you make is a vote, not just for your future, but for your character. You can feed the need to be seen, or you can build a life so free, so grounded, that you don't need permission from anyone. The choice is simple, but it's not easy. One path feels good now and hurts later. The other feels slow now, but saves you in the end. So ask yourself, which one are you really strong enough to take? Redefining wealth. Your path starts now. You don't need to outsmart the market. You don't need the perfect stock pick or the latest crypto tip. You need one thing: consistency. Morgan Housel made it clear, your savings rate is more important than your investment returns, and it's entirely within your control. That's the truth most people miss. They chase miracles and ignore the miracle happening in their own quiet, repeated actions. Every dollar you choose to keep, every urge you resist, every time you invest in the boring instead of the brilliant, you're building real wealth. Not the kind you show off, the kind that shows up when you need it most, in emergencies, in opportunities, in peace of mind that can't be bought at any price. Wealth isn't a number, it's a habit. It's self-respect in numerical form. It's the difference between reacting and choosing, surviving and thriving. If you felt something shift inside you today, if this message pierced through the noise of flashy promises and hit something honest, prove it. Comment below. Patience beats speed. Let that be your line in the sand, your contract with yourself, your quiet rebellion against a world obsessed with instant wins and loud losses. And this is just the beginning. There are more illusions to break, more truths to uncover. More paths to freedom that start, not with brilliance, but with a single quiet decision. You've seen the difference. Now choose the direction. And when you're ready for the next truth, we'll be here, waiting.